It was around 5 p.m. on a chilly Thursday. The local grocery store buzzed with noise, shopping carts rolling, cashiers calling out prices, and families trying to grab dinner before sunset. In one of the snack aisles, two kids stood quietly, scanning the shelves. Elijah, 13, wore a gray hoodie and jeans. His little sister Maya, only 8, clung to his arm, her pigtails bouncing every time she turned her head. Elijah wasn't just any kid, he was polite, careful, the kind who always held the door for others and said please, without being reminded. He had promised their mom he'd grab snacks for movie night and watch over Maya while she finished up work. As he reached for a bag of sour cream and onion chips, his elbow lightly brushed against a man stepping into the aisle. The man jerked back as if stung. "Watch where you're going," he snapped. Elijah turned quickly. I'm sorry, sir," he said, voice low, eyes wide, but the man wasn't done. His face turned red, and he looked Elijah up and down, gaze landing on the boy's hoodie like it was something dangerous. "Figures," he muttered loud enough for everyone nearby to hear. "Another little thug." Everything seemed to stop. A cart's squeaky wheel paused, a baby stopped crying, the sound of soft jazz playing over the speakers felt distant, far away. Maya's lip trembled. She reached up and grabbed Elijah's hand tightly. "What's a thug?" she whispered. Elijah didn't answer, he kept his eyes on the floor. "Sorry," he said again, even softer this time. No one stepped in. A few people looked over, uncomfortable. A kind old woman near the cereal boxes shook her head, but said nothing. Mr. Turner, his name unknown to the kids then, just scoffed and pushed his cart past them. Elijah stood still for a moment, then gently tugged Maya along. They turned down the next aisle, quiet, their movie night already feeling different. Behind them the world went back to normal, but something had cracked, even if most people hadn't noticed it. And one of them, Mr. Turner, had no idea that those words, said so quickly and with so much hate, would come back to him before the night was over. Elijah's life wasn't easy, but he carried himself with quiet strength. His mom worked 2 jobs to keep their small home warm and safe. Elijah helped Maya with homework and did his best to stay out of trouble. At school he wasn't the loudest kid, but teachers admired him. He played the violin and was even picked to speak at a local youth leadership event soon. To Elijah, being kind and respectful was important, more important than fitting in or pretending to be someone he wasn't. On the other side of town, Mr. Turner sat alone in his small living room. He was a man shaped by loss. A year ago he lost his job at the factory. His days became long and empty, his anger had nowhere to go, so it grew inside him, like a storm waiting to break. His relationship with his own son had frayed, months passed without a single call or message. The TV was often on, showing stories about crime and danger, always blaming people who looked like Elijah. That shaped his thoughts without him even realizing. But deep down, Mr. Turner was not a cruel man. He was just broken in a way that made him blind. The world had taught him to fear what he didn't understand. And so, when Elijah bumped into him at the grocery store, all those feelings spilled out in the worst way. Neither Elijah nor Mr. Turner saw the other's heart that day. Elijah saw a man full of anger and fear. Mr. Turner saw a hoodie and a stereotype, not a boy who played the violin or cared for his little sister. Both walked away carrying a weight they didn't yet understand. That evening, Mr. Turner sat in his worn armchair, flipping through the channels on the TV. The room was quiet, except for the soft hum of the television. His wife had already gone to bed, tired from her own day. Suddenly the screen showed a local news special about a community event celebrating young leaders. The camera moved slowly across the crowd, stopping on a boy in a neat suit, standing confidently at the microphone. It was Elijah. The boy spoke clearly, his voice calm but strong. He talked about kindness, about breaking down walls built by fear and hate. "We should not judge people by the color of their skin or what they wear," Elijah said. "We need to listen, learn, and give each other a chance." Mr. Turner stared at the screen, his eyes widening. This was the same boy, the one he had called a thug only hours ago. The room felt colder, and Mr. Turner's hands trembled slightly. For the first time he saw Elijah not as a stereotype, but as a young person with hopes and dreams. Someone who cared deeply about his community. His wife noticed his silence and asked softly, "What is it?" He didn't answer. He kept watching, feeling a mix of shame and something else, hope. The news continued, showing Elijah smiling with his sister and mother, surrounded by friends and teachers who believed in him. Mr. Turner's heart ached, he felt tears rise but blinked them away. The words he had thrown at Elijah echoed painfully in his mind. For the first time that day, he questioned everything he thought he knew. That night, Mr. Turner lay awake in the dark. The images of Elijah on the news kept playing over and over in his mind. He saw the boy's calm face, the kindness in his eyes, and the proud smile as he spoke about hope. He thought about the harsh words he'd shouted in the grocery store. The word thug felt heavy in his chest, like a stone pressing down on his heart. He remembered the tears of Elijah's little sister, the way she held her brother's hand like she needed protection. And he remembered his own son, the boy he hadn't called or visited in months. A photo on the dusty shelf caught his eye, a picture of him and his son from better days, both smiling. Tears filled Mr. Turner's eyes, not just from guilt, but from deep sadness and shame. He had let fear and anger blind him. He realized he had judged Elijah before even knowing him. He whispered quietly to himself, "I was wrong." The house was still, but inside, Mr. Turner something had shifted. It was uncomfortable and painful, but real. He didn't know how to fix what he'd done, but for the first time he wanted to try. A week later, Mr. Turner found himself standing at the edge of a community cleanup event. His wife had signed them up without telling him. He hadn't wanted to come, but something inside him said maybe he should. The park was alive with activity, kids picking up trash, neighbors chatting, laughter in the air. And there, near the picnic tables stood Elijah, the same boy from the grocery store and the news. He was talking with his mom and little sister, Maya, who waved happily at a group nearby. Mr. Turner's heart pounded, his throat felt tight. He wasn't sure if Elijah would even remember him. What if Elijah was angry? What if this made things worse? Elijah's eyes caught his. For a long moment, they just looked at each other. The world seemed to hold its breath. Then Mr. Turner took a shaky step forward. Slowly he walked up to Elijah. He knelt down, lowering himself to the boy's level, and looked him in the eyes. His voice cracked as he spoke. "Elijah, I'm sorry. I called you something terrible. I judged you unfairly. I was wrong, and I want to say I'm sorry." Elijah was quiet for a moment, then nodded slowly. "Thank you for saying that," he replied softly. Maya smiled, and even Elijah's mom gave a small grateful smile. Around them, people watched quietly. No one interrupted. The air was thick with hope and tension all at once. That moment was not perfect. It wasn't a movie scene with music and applause. It was real, messy and honest. But it was the start of something new. Mr. Turner realized that sometimes it takes courage to admit you were wrong. And sometimes, forgiveness comes in a quiet nod, and a simple thank you. After that day at the park, things slowly began to change for Mr. Turner. He started showing up at more community events, not because he had to, but because he wanted to. He helped clean up the streets, planted flowers, and even volunteered at the youth center where Elijah sometimes tutored younger kids. His relationship with his own son began to heal too. Inspired by Elijah's example, Mr. Turner picked up the phone and made the first call in months. It wasn't easy, but it was a start. Elijah never expected Mr. Turner to become a friend. And they weren't friends. Not yet, but there was respect, and something more important, understanding. The town around them changed too, bit by bit. People began to look past old fears and stereotypes. They started listening. One afternoon, as Elijah helped a small group of kids practice their reading, Mr. Turner stood nearby, quietly watching. He smiled, knowing that sometimes the face you judge is the heart you needed to see all along. And sometimes, the tears we cry are not just for the past, they are the beginning of change.